Hey Patrick,
Eh,
where's Lugia?
pretty sure he fell in the hole.
What hole?
That one.
Oh, what the hell? Where did that come from?
Well, you see, I woke up this morning
Yeah,
and there was a hole.
I see. Want to start the podcast without him?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, welcome to It's Always Sunny in Hollywood. I'm your host, Red. This is your co-host.
Hi, my name is Patrick, and there was a hole in the floor.
Hey
Yep.
guys,
Oh, hey, Lugia.
Where were you?
getting a snack
Hmm. You know
from
where
the hole.
Elias is?
Nah, he fell in the hole.
Oh.
Put a rug over that.
Anyway, want to get into some news?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Entertainment
sure.
news? All right. So, John Mulaney, you guys familiar with that stand-up comedian?
I am
I
actually.
know the name, yes. I don't know his stand-up comedy.
My brother's a big fan
Cool.
of him.
He got divorced. And
Oh.
for some reason, people are very mad. Also, he's dating Olivia Munn now. Very interesting situation. Got out of rehab or whatever. Did a couple shows explaining, how rehab was. Anyway, the Ellen Show is ending in 2022. I wasn't a fan of the Ellen Show or Ellen, uh, except Dory, because Finding Nemo was like my favorite movie as a kid. But yeah, you guys fan of Ellen?
No,
I never really watched Ellen.
Uh,
I grew up in an Oprah household.
Yeah, yeah. My mom, I think, watched both of them. That was why. So I'm familiar with both. I'm more familiar with Oprah. Conan O'Brien's talk show's ending, but I think he's getting a new HBO show. So speaking of revivals, Venture Bros, Metalocalypse, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force are all getting movies. The Adult Swim shows.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
I've heard of
getting
them,
movies.
never seen any of them.
I've seen a couple episodes of Venture Bros. That's it. I
I
heard
think I
good
might have
things about the other two.
I think I might have caught like one episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh yeah, I've caught like a random episode or two, but Venture Bros is the only one I actually like. I'm familiar with the characters. Boogie 2988 got arrested. You guys know Boogie, the
I know
YouTuber?
of him,
No, yeah, know of him.
Yeah. So
especially
apparently
through
what
meme
happened
culture.
is some dude like came to his house or whatever, so he pulled a gun and he fired a warning shot, but he like fired the bullet into the air or something and it landed in a school zone, so he got arrested.
That
Oh,
was a while ago when
oh.
that happened.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but I guess like the police just got the warrant or whatever. I find it incredibly funny that Boogie would have not been in trouble if he just shot a man, which is kind of funny. Also, if you're gonna fire a warning shot, fire it into the ground, you stupid fucking idiots. Don't shoot it into the air ever. Discord changed their logo in lighter news.
That has its own spiral of controversy.
Yeah, 'cause it looks like shit. And the color is weird, but that's besides the point. And apparently Michael Jordan 2 is gonna be in Space Jam 2.
Michael Jordan 2.
Michael Jordan will appear in Space Jam 2.
Michael
Sorry.
Jordan, the sequel, not the original Michael Jordan, the sequel will
Yeah,
appear.
sorry. It's Michael Jordan 2. That's the baseball one. We're still talking about the basketball one.
And wouldn't that be Michael B. Jordan?
Michael B. Jordan is a whole separate being. But yeah, Michael Jordan is gonna appear in Space Jam 2. Personally, I think it's a stupid thing to announce. They should have made a surprise, and but I don't know. Hopefully, in the last 20 years, 30 years, he learned how to act because he did not know how to act in the first one.
I did not know about this until I looked through the notes, so
Yeah.
would
Also,
have been a surprise to me.
yep. Anyway, now time for my brief review of Sondheim on Sondheim, which is a play I saw yesterday, which Patrick was actually starring in.
I
Uh,
wasn't starring in it. It was a big ensemble show.
you know what I meant. It technically wasn't a star because it wasn't exactly a play. It was more of like a documentary.
It's a review. It was a musical review of songs written by
Yeah,
Sondheim.
because it felt like
So it is a
we saw
review
a
of
doc.
songs in a play form?
Okay,
Uh,
basically, they just played a documentary, but in between the documentary, the
it's almost
performers also gave us information, and they performed like his famous songs.
it's almost like a playlist in concert form
Yeah,
with
that was
commentary.
interesting. I saw it with my mom, who does not know who Stephen Sondheim was, so she thought it was pretty interesting, going in with fresh eyes. I do know who he is. I'm familiar with, I'd say, about half the plays that you half the songs that you played there. You know, West Side Story, Sweeney Todd. Anyway, why don't you give us a little background on the movie we're gonna watch, Patrick?
I mean, talk about.
Yeah,
You said watch.
I said give a little
But
background on.
give a little background on you said never mind, I'm not going to get into this. It just further complicates things. Okay, so Holes is based on the 1998 novel of the same name by Louis Satcher. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
All right, cool. I always butcher names, so Louis. I'm just gonna say Louis S. Just cause. Yeah. So by Louis S., who also wrote the Wayside series of books. You guys ever read Wayside?
No.
Yes. I think I read the initial 3 books. I think there's 6 in total though.
I've never read the Wayside books, but I did see a few episodes of the cartoon back when that was on. You
What?
guys familiar with? It was a Wayside cartoon.
Yeah, I remember the cartoon.
So
It was okay, I guess. I don't know.
I know
Wasn't
it's
that
been years
good, but
since
wasn't terrible.
it's been years since I've seen it, but
Yeah,
anyway,
most of the things I remember from the books, not the cartoon. All I remember from the cartoon is this one girl who likes beating the shit out of Todd. Also, for some reason they made Todd the main character, even though in the book he was the guy that was never around for when the weird shit happened because he always got sent home.
anyway, moving away,
Yeah.
moving away from Wayside, and back onto Holes because that is what we're talking about. The
Yes.
author of the book also wrote the screenplay for the movie, so going off of that, I'm going to assume this is very faithful to the book.
I have read the book and it is faithful, unlike Wayside.
This movie was directed by Andrew Davis, who has primarily worked in directing action films, so it's weird that he would direct a children's adventure movie like this, with
Um,
very little violence.
yeah,
Well, there is some violence.
I was surprised to find out he directed The Fugitive, which is
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah.
I remember watching that movie when I was younger.
yeah, no, I think that's a great movie. Harrison Ford and I think Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. I don't recognize any of these other movies he directed, like The Guardian, Codes of Silence, or Under Siege. In fact, I only mentioned Codes of Silence because Chuck Norris starred in that.
I recognize Under Siege, but I have not seen it.
I recognize The Guardian, but I have not seen it either.
So yeah, only movie I recognize from him is The Fugitive. Everything else, I don't know.
And I recognize Under Siege because it's a Steven Seagal movie, not because I've heard good things about it.
Apparently, The Guardian was the last movie he directed, which was back in 2006. I don't know what he's been up to the past decade, but hopefully good things. Hopefully good things. I hope he's doing well. Anyway, among the cast of Holes, there is Dual Hill, Patricia Arquette. Is that right?
I think that's how you pronounce that.
Arquette. Shia LaBeouf, Sigourney Weaver, John Voight, Tim Blank Nelson, Eartha Kitt, and Scott Plank in his final film role. I don't really have any big fun facts about this. I didn't have time this week because of finals. All right. So anyway, what is Holes about? Well, it's about a young boy named Stanley Yelnats IV who comes from a family that is cursed with a big string of bad luck. And the family curse takes effect on him when he is wrongfully accused of stealing a pair of shoes. And why he was arrested for that is because these shoes were donated to an orphanage by a famous athlete, so they have a lot of value to them. And as a punishment, Stanley is sent to Camp Green Lake, a camp in the middle of the desert that is neither green nor does it have a lake. In fact, it's hardly even a camp either, because the kids there are required to spend all day digging holes. For what reason? Well, none of the kids know, but it's what the warden wants. But throughout
Build
the film,
character.
yeah,
Prison camp, so
essentially. But throughout the film, it constantly cuts back to other stories to explain the deal with Stanley's family and how it got cursed, as well as the history of Camp Green Lake and how it got to be the hole digging place that it is. And to avoid spoilers, I will not go any further than that. But let's just say it all ties together in the end. And thus, we have holes. Before we actually start, I just want to ask you guys. Okay, Red, you said you read the book. Lugia, are you familiar with the book at all?
Not the book, but I have seen the movie many years ago. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I did recognize a couple things from that initial experience.
I'm in a very similar boat. I remember that the book was read to us in third or fourth grade, I think.
yeah, it was required reading for us at our school. I've read read it since, 4th grade too. I remember it pretty distinctly.
I saw the movie first, like over 15 years ago, and I remember like nothing from either version. I do remember three things though. Um,
What?
One is the song written for the movie "Dig It Up." I remember that song was played a lot on Radio Disney back in the day.
Yeah, that's interestingly one of the things I didn't remember.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like the one big thing I remember from this movie. But that the other thing I remembered was the name of the main character, Stanley Yelnats, and how it's the same spelled backwards and forwards,
Yep.
which they explain in the movie. And the third thing is the one scene from the movie I do remember, and that is the opening with the snake. That is the one scene directly from the movie that I distinctly remember.
All the things I remembered before rewatching was obviously the Stanley part that you mentioned,
Mhm.
him stealing shoes, there's just being a ton of onions, Sigourney Weaver stabbing like I think a snake. She stabs something that's like about to bite Stanley or whatever, or she shoots it. One of those things.
Something along those lines. I remember she scratched a guy in the face at one point.
Yeah, that scratch a guy in the face. I remember the Madame Zeroni legend where it's like, "Oh, you must take me back to the thing, otherwise you're cursed." And the "I can fix that" and kissing Kate Barlow stuff.
I definitely remember
Luke,
those last two.
Yeah,
okay, so we all remembered little pieces of this movie, but as a whole, it's been a blur in our memories for several years now, I take it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay,
well, I
so
rewatched it last year, but yeah, before
all
that
right,
it was a blur.
so enough about our history with the movie. After finally having rewatched it again, what are our thoughts? Red, you start.
Actually, I think Lugia should start since he hasn't talked that much, considering I'm
Good
assuming he
point.
was
All right,
recovering from the trauma of the hole.
true. All right, Lugia, please tell us about your hole's experience. Not in the
Yes.
hole, the movie, the
It's
hole.
Did it
deep,
fill
it's
your
dark,
holes?
I couldn't see anything. All I had was a snack.
Okay.
Okay. What about the
Now
movie?
that you filled the hole in your heart, well, how did you think of the movie?
I don't know if this is like blasphemy for saying this, but it was good. It
No, I thought it
wasn't
was
really
good too.
incredible or anything, but it was enjoyable.
I feel the same, pretty much. I think it's kind of a childhood classic, personally. I think, like, I'd argue, like, it's for our generation that what, like, Stand By Me was for, like, kids that grew up in the 80s.
I found the movie to be okay. Again, nothing amazing, but nothing awful either. It was okay.
It's an incredibly good adaptation of the book. So, kids, if you ever have to do a report on holes, just watch the movie. The only real major detail is that Stanley is incredibly fat in the book. That's legit, like, the only change. And they changed it for practical reasons.
All right. Let's go further into this. Who wants to start?
Uh, Performances are incredibly good. Especially for the fact that it's mostly children.
I agree. I agree. We
Yeah,
got
this
some good
is
child actors in here.
of all the movies that we talked about so far, this is definitely the best one with child acting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like it's pretty good because like all the adults they're working up against are like they are seasoned actors like Sigourney Weaver, Patricia Arquette. I've seen them in tons of movies. John Voight.
Shia LaBeouf.
Um,
I was
well,
surprised.
Shia LaBeouf is the kid actor.
I was surprised to see Eartha Kitt in this movie. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
I'm like, I'm
Uh,
like, she's on screen, and I'm like, that sounds like Yzma. I think that's Yzma, and then credits call up. That was totally her.
yeah, as a
When was
kid,
this?
I
2003.
Yeah.
yeah,
Damn.
which I mean that was only a few years after Emperor's New Groove, like
Yeah.
3 years after Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
So
3 years.
and the show was still running, I think. So it makes sense because this is a Disney movie.
Yeah, and I mean, Shia LaBeouf was in Even Stevens, which was on Disney
Yeah,
Channel at the time.
they
Never
filmed at
watched
the
Even
same time.
Stevens though.
Never seen that show either. And almost none of these other child actors really have a much of a career outside of this movie. So yeah,
Another credit, I have to give to this movie is the makeup. Like
yeah,
when Sigourney Weaver's character scratches one of the other counselors across the face, and when Zero like he cuts his hand on the shovel, like I think like the makeup was really effective for those two.
yeah. I also think like the fact that they actually did shoot this in the desert and they were sweating for real and stuff, and they had to go through like training to go in the holes because the holes got to like 150 degrees or whatever. the fact that like they were sweating and they're still able to make it like all look good is impressive. You know,
Yeah.
usually sweat and shit is kind of hard to handle with makeup.
especially for the time.
So yeah, one thing that always stuck with me, especially at that young age, was the racial commentary. Want to get into that? The flashback scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
This movie has flashback scenes that take place in like the old Western times, so like
It was Camp Green Lake
1800s.
before it became Camp Green Lake as it's shown in the movie.
Yeah. And you know, that time there actually was a lake.
Hmm.
But yeah, in the 1800s, back in the time of old Western, probably shortly after the Civil War, so race relations were not good. Anyway, Kate Barlow fell in love with a black man, and you know, racists did not take kindly to that and did what racists unfortunately did back then.
Well,
And
he couldn't fix that.
all right, well, maybe chill on that joke, my man. God Lord. Um, but yeah, so Kate Barlow, she became a bounty hunter, you know, revenge, some true grit shit. Yeah, eventually she buried like a ton of her money in the lake, and that's what they're looking for. I remember this monologue. I think Sigourney Weaver mentioned how like as a little kid, her like grandpa or whatever or dad would make her
Her
dig holes.
grandfather.
Yeah,
Grandfather.
Yeah. That's why they have the camp set up so that the kids can dig the holes
Yep.
so why have
and the
two
treasure.
people do it when you can have a whole army of children?
Sigourney Weaver played a good villain, which is a nice change of pace since she usually plays heroes.
I'm sorry. Whenever I hear the name Sigourney Weaver, I always think of Finding Dory. That is what I'm going to think of for the rest of time.
Yeah, I was just thinking of Alien. I saw Galaxy Quest not too long ago. I was thinking about that too, especially because Galaxy Quest didn't come out too long before this.
If we can get into criticisms for a moment, I'm gonna say this. My big issue with this film is that it feels messy.
The pacing
Like,
is very off in this movie.
yeah, like in terms of like the plot and the editing, it feels a bit messy. Like the first 5 minutes of this movie are lightning fast.
Yeah.
They show you like where Stanley comes from, what his family is doing, how the camp and everything, and how he got there. It's so fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I need to whoa, slow down there.
The way the movie was shot, it kind of reminded me of Malcolm in the Middle.
How so?
Just like I don't know, it had very like 2000s feel with it, with the camera lenses and whatnot.
Well, it was 2003. That makes sense.
Yeah, I know, but like Malcolm in the Middle is one of the shows that very much embraced its 2000s feel.
But yeah, like the plot was really interesting. It did make me curious to see like where everything was going to go and how it would all tie up in the end. But felt like there were like two movies playing over each other. Like they would have the Wild West story of Camp Green Lake when it was actually a lake, and then it would cut back to present time with the Holes camp. But then like two lines later, it would cut back to the other story,
Yeah, it
and I'm
happens
like,
more
whoa,
often than you think it would.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like in this story, then we're in this story. Oh, now we're back in this story, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
really invested, but I don't know what I'm supposed to focus on right now.
It's like if Stand By Me, they just flash back to like the dead body, like what that dude was doing before he died.
That's
Interesting, but not necessary.
so yeah, that's my biggest criticism with the film. It feels very messy.
It's kind of like okay, you know how It is famously split between the past self and the future parts?
Stephen King's It.
Yeah. I don't know, kind of felt like that almost because we're cutting between adults and kids, but like it's only tangentially related. They're not really about anything, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the switching probably works better in the book between perspectives because like that's why I brought up It because in the It book, them switching from child to adult works a lot better, but like in both the film adaptations of it didn't at all.
Yeah, I feel like pacing
Um,
was something that this movie had to consider, especially if it was like heavily borrowing from the book material.
yeah, you can tell this
Yeah,
was paced as a book. It's probably paced fine because books have
Yeah, I
Don't
mean,
really need
this
to worry
movie.
about pacing, but for a movie, it's a bit.
Yeah, and this movie is almost 2 hours long, so
Yeah, could have been 2.5, maybe.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe that'd been too long for kids to pay attention to, though. It is intended for like 7-year-olds,
Yeah, but I mean,
10-year-old.
again, despite all of that, it is a very interesting story.
Some parts of it kind of remind me of The Outsiders, with like how basically two characters kind of branch off and have their own story, you know? Because
Yeah,
it starts off with ensemble, but eventually it's just Zero and Stanley.
I can see the connection.
The Outsiders was a good book. I remember reading that in middle school.
Yeah, apparently I saw the movie adaptation too. I don't remember what I thought of it as a kid, but apparently it was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, so I might need to recheck that
Really?
out. Yeah.
Wow, I've seen the movie. I did not know that.
Add that to our potential movie topics.
Lugia, any other comments you got?
Yes, actually. So I think we all agree that overall this movie looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I don't like about it, and unfortunately it happens very frequently. Every now and then they have a lot of slow motion shots, which could work, but they look so choppy. And it happens more often than you think.
See,
I can see that a little bit.
what people used to do before the era of Zack Snyder was that they just take their existing footage and slow it down, which would result in it being choppy. When what Zack Snyder did is he would film it at a higher frame rate,
I mean,
but
I
they did not
get what they're
film it
trying
at
to
a
do,
higher
especially
frame
with
rate.
the more intimate scenes, but it just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I can kind of understand that. Some scenes, it's a little unnecessary, but I think for others it works just fine. Like I said before, the one scene I did remember from this movie was the opening with the snake. I think it was pretty effective because that scene of the kids screaming has in slow motion has stuck in my head for so many years.
Other than that, that's about it.
I like the absurdity, the onion stuff, the Madame Zeroni and Kissing Kate Barlow stuff. That's just weird. I don't know how someone came up with kind of like, fun how someone just came up with that shit and somehow managed to slap it all together and make it work. The
Actually,
onion stuff like has stuck with me for like so long, man. The onions and it's being the cure to solving like smelly feet. Like that is such a weird plot line.
They're not
actually,
onions, they're Sundays.
yeah. Actually, speaking of the whole thing about finding a cure for smelly feet, at the end of the movie, when Stanley's father is excited, he's like, "Here, smell this. I don't smell anything." I know, right? I'm like, that gets a very different reaction in today's time, not being able to smell anything.
Oh yeah, because that's a
They
COVID
would not
symptom.
be. You would not be celebrating if you didn't smell something today. So that
Imagine it
just made
turned
me
out
laugh
that a
because
gas leak the whole time.
that has a different meaning today.
So, all right, how'd you guys rank it? I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10, 7.5.
Yeah, I'd say a 7 out of 10.
I'd give it like a 3 out of 5 because I do an out of 5 ranking.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's okay. There were some pleasant surprises throughout, and I was engaged in the story. But I think the movie overall isn't really anything to write home about.
It's not a bad movie by any means.
No, not at all. It's not bad. But it's not really amazing either.
Ranking wise, I put it in between Scott Pilgrim versus the World and The Invisible Man and The Room
I
because
would
I think it's more
probably put this, like, below the wall.
compare this.
I'd put this around like the middle, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say this is mid range.
Yeah. Holes is a decent movie.
Yep. All right. Well, I got a Q&A section set up today. Oh wait, no,
All right.
recommendations first. If you like
Yeah.
Holes, some other movies you can check out is stuff I've already mentioned. Stand by Me, The Outsiders, It. I'd also recommend The Sandlot because I felt the big ensemble kids kind of remind me of that. I put down The Goonies just because I heard people compare it to The Goonies. I have never seen The Goonies though, so yeah, I wouldn't know. And Fred 3, Camp Fred, which I'm assuming Lugia put
How did you know?
because we crack Fred 3 Camp Fred jokes a lot in your Discord server.
It's only going to be in a matter of time until one of you recommends it for this podcast.
Yeah.
No
And
way in hell I'm doing it anytime soon.
it's
Not
funny that
me.
we only meme Fred 3 and not the first two Fred movies. It's specifically Fred 3.
Because that's the
I-
worst one. I mean,
I don't know, I
they're
was-
all bad, but Fred
Yeah,
3
that was
just
like
hits
the
different.
worst one. Yeah. So it's so funny because at that point Lucas is like in his mid 20s and he's still acting against like 14-year-olds and he looks so out of place.
Send him to Camp Green Lake. Help him grow up a bit.
That one's Camp I Want a Pee Pee. Which
Dude, I don't know Fred lore. I was making a holes connection.
I know. Although since I'm not sure if like that's kind of racist or not cuz they're making fun of a Native American name, but you know whatever.
That's
So,
why I said Camp Green Lake.
Q&A section. So earlier in the news, I mentioned how Venture Bros and all those other Adult Swim cartoons are getting a revival in the form of a movie. Are there any cartoons or TV shows from that you would like to get a movie revival?
This is happening, but a Gumball movie.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Gumball
I'd
has
see that.
so much potential. Gumball has so much potential.
I mean, it had like 10 seasons, so it used a lot of its potential.
Wait, Gumball had
But
10
yeah.
seasons?
No, it
Like
didn't.
not
it had
10,
like,
like 8.
It had like 5 or 6.
It had a lot of seasons.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a lot less.
Yeah, it was not 10. It was not 10.
Gumball.
In fact, it's been 10 years since the premiere actually this month, which is crazy.
It's had 240 episodes and 6 seasons, but each season had like the last season had like 44 episodes. So I don't that counts to me as more than one season, all right? A season to me is 22 episodes. You don't get to have 44 episodes a season. Each Gumball season is twice the length of a normal season. What is this shit? Yeah. Okay, Gumball has 6 seasons, but if we want to go by episode count, it has 12. I demand
Tuesdays.
restitution.
If you say so.
Okay, whatever. I don't know. I'd like a community movie just because they've had a running gag throughout the show as this show's gonna have 6 seasons and a movie, and they have 6 seasons. They don't have a movie yet. I always wanted a Samurai Jack movie, which covered like the original intended ending. They adapted that intended ending to a comic before, you know, they got the revival series, but I always wanted to see that intended ending in animation, so I don't know, that could probably make a movie. How about Johnny Bravo, but it's like a rated R comedy? Make it like Swingers.
Johnny Bravo gets a restraining order.
Yeah, I don't know
Even
how
like
well a Johnny Bravo movie would work
Swing-
in today's day and age.
Yeah, but make it rated R, so be like Swingers or Wedding Crashers, like one of those Vince Vaughn comedies.
Maybe you could
Then
do it
people
that way.
would
I don't
complain
know.
about it.
Anyway, I don't know. I was thinking because of the Invader Zim movie, I'd like to see Courage the Cowardly Dog and Billy and Mandy, because like I really liked like those old creepier cartoons, you know?
They could do a lot with Courage. I'm all for that.
Yeah, Courage especially. I think you could do a lot. Really up the antes to a movie scale. All my other suggestions are just superhero stuff, you know, Danny Phantom, Ben 10, Batman Beyond, Kim Possible, American Dragon Jake Long.
I would like to see another Scooby-Doo movie where they have another celebrity with godlike superpowers. I just want to see how batshit insane that movie could be. Because we've had like Scooby-Doo with the band Kiss, and they're like super galactic deities or some shit.
I know they had a couple WrestleMania ones.
Yeah, they had John Cena in one.
Speaking of John Cena, we need to have a Fred Ford. Okay.
Why does it always go back to Fred?
Like how we're making the unrelevant thing relevant.
yeah.
Jeez.
So a lot of late night TV shows are kind of dying lately. So I was thinking, what do you think about late night, and do you think that its time has sort of passed?
I don't know.
I don't really care for late night television. I know it has an audience, but yeah, it's
I know my dad likes Stephen Colbert, specifically the openings of Stephen Colbert where they go over the news.
I like the Eric Andre show.
I mean that's just completely different.
I know, but I'm counting it. Okay, among the traditional ones that are still on the air, I like Conan O'Brien, and that's it. I think Colbert stopped being funny once he got his The Tonight Show or whatever. He used to be funny on Comedy Central, but not anymore. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like late night didn't have to die, but they just like refused to evolve, and they all just kind of became Jon Stewart ripoffs after a while, which is weird because Jon Stewart wasn't even like mainstream. But yeah, I don't know. I think podcasts have sort of taken up their place as the interviewing forum.
Oh
And,
God, we're part of the problem.
yeah, screw you, Roger Ebert. Your show's dead because of us, bitch. Also because you know you're not alive, but you're dead because of us, bitch. How about that? I didn't
Again, I
think
think
about
late
that
night
bit.
television has an audience, and good for them for enjoying it, but it's not for me, and I don't really care for it.
I think there's potential in live shows, but I don't think many live shows really utilize its strengths anymore. Like SNL, why the hell is SNL live? Just pre-record the sketches at this point. You suck.
Because Saturday night live. Otherwise,
They
without the
still
live,
air it live.
it's just Saturday night.
Oh, they had digital shorts before with Andy
I
Samberg.
don't think they
Those were
even
all good.
film it at night.
No, they film it at night. It is live actually. It is a live show. I don't know. We'll just have like Chappelle's show where the host is live. So what do you think about the minimalist art trend that has dominated the 2010s, and why hasn't it died yet? I'm just thinking, like the Discord logo. I'm like, do people even like minimalism anymore?
Simplicity can be an appealing style.
It can be, but we've also had about 10 years of it. You ever notice how like the 90s, 80s, every decade has like a really distinct logo look?
Hell,
Like
even
when you
some of the
see
early
like
Yeah.
2000s logos did.
like
Yeah.
when you see like a Taco Bell from the 90s, you know it's the 90s Taco
Yeah.
Bell and not
Yeah.
like the later Taco Bells.
Yeah.
And that's what like I feel like the corporate aesthetic now I'm wondering
Please
what's
don't
like
turn me into an oversimplified logo.
yeah, and like the 2000s like everything was all like bezeled or whatever. You know, I remember that old school Pepsi logo, like that had the water droplets everywhere and like
I
all
remember
that
the old
shit.
school Doritos logo.
Yeah, and in the 2000s they used to have like themed McDonald's, but now all the McDonald's are just gray blocks. Like I don't know. I feel like the 2010s minimalism, they did 2010s pretty all right, you know. It was the Apple decade, but the iPhone decade, but I feel like it's the 2020s now. Like get a new style. I don't know. I don't
Remember
know
the
what.
Nickelodeon? Remember the Nickelodeon Splat logo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were the days. And the old Cartoon Network logo where the C was slightly tilted off.
See, that's the thing. That's like what I'm thinking. Cartoon Network logo. I'm thinking about where they had the entire thing spelled out.
Oh, the
And like
checkerboard. The checkerboard.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's what I remember. I remember like how the shows would always end with like a little animatic
Yeah, I remember those.
or like it would be animated, but like it wouldn't be colored in or whatever. So you'd see like the sketch, the initial
Yeah,
pencil
those were cool.
animation test.
I like how the chowder one, he takes a bite out of like one of the letters and then an apple takes its place.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think the 2020s they need a new art style. I don't know what the art style is gonna be.
Overly detailed logos.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Overcomplicated. No one can distinguish what it is.
We'll see. All right, so since we're talking about childhood movies with holes, any movies from their childhoods that you think are underrated, or ones that you think aren't good but could use a remake, or ones that you
Um,
think are overrated. And by childhood, I mean like late 90s to early 2010s, so basically the 2000s, but with a little bit of leeway.
um,
That's hard to say.
yeah, yeah, think about that.
For underrated, I was thinking, you guys ever see the Speed Racer movie?
Yeah, I have.
Yes, I have.
I think that movie's pretty good.
I don't remember a whole lot about it.
Yeah, me neither. I remember it was
I
very bright though.
I intend to recommend it actually one of these days. I don't know when though,
I'd be
but
down
I
for
will
that.
recommend it one of these days. What about Zathura? That
Oh, it's
Jumanji
been
type
years
thing in
since I've
space.
seen Zathura.
Same here. I
Yeah.
remember seeing it a couple times.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember these movies, How to Eat Fried Worms and Shorts. I'm not sure if they're good, but I remember them as a kid.
I saw both those movies in theaters and haven't
Yeah,
thought
I saw them
about
in
them
theaters too.
since.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my
Shorts
god.
is just pulp fiction for kids.
Yeah. And I know Alvin the Chipmunks was like a big like part of our childhood, but I distinctly remember like Fat Albert and Rocky and Bullwinkle actually being kind of good.
I have a soft spot for the first Alvin and the Chipmunks movie.
I
I
like
can't
the
speak.
first Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. It cracks me
I
up
can't.
because of like,
Yeah, I can't speak for the others though.
yeah. I think the fourth one kind of came back
I don't know.
around
I
to being
haven't seen the
funny.
fourth one, and I really don't plan
They
to.
made a fourth one.
Alvin
They
and
did.
Simon in Theater get put on the FBI no-fly list, so they have to take a road trip across country instead of a plane.
It's kind of funny.
Have you ever seen Where the Wild Things Are?
Yes, I have.
I might
I
have.
think
I
that movie
don't
is
remember.
genuinely a masterpiece, but a lot of people don't like it. It's from the director of Being John Malkovich, adaptation, and Her. So this is like one of the greatest directors of all time, and he made like a little kids movie that I think is pretty great about a kid escaping from his trauma into his imaginary world.
I remember when I was younger, one movie I watched a lot that my parents got sick of was Big Fat Liar.
Ah, the Frankie Muniz one and Paul
Yes, I remember.
Giamatti.
I watched that so much. My parents were like, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
I know this one movie, also starring Shia LaBeouf, gonna tie it in, Surf's Up, with the
Oh,
penguin
Surf's
that
Up.
surfs.
Yes.
I remember that
I
too.
Yeah, that and Shrek 4 are like legit underrated animated movies.
Don't know about Shrek
Also,
4 though, but I
Yeah,
can
I
agree to an extent.
it's been years since I've seen Shrek 4, but
Shrek
I
4
remember
is the true third Shrek movie. The Shrek trilogy to me is Shrek 1, Shrek 2, Shrek 4.
I
There
mean,
is
you're
no
not
Shrek 3.
wrong, but I don't think it's that good.
I think it's as good as the first movie.
All right.
Yeah. You ever see Tron Legacy?
No.
I saw it in theaters and I remember falling asleep.
The only thing I
I
know about Tron is that it's a world in Kingdom Hearts.
I think Tron Legacy is like the coolest goddamn movie ever, man.
Well, I fell asleep. I fell asleep not because of the movie, but because it was a really late showing, and I was like 10.
Speed Racer is Mad Max Fury Road before Mad Max Fury Road, and Tron Legacy is Blade Runner 2049 before Blade Runner 2049. That's
You
my
say so.
stance. Yep. Treasure Planet, Looney Tunes Back in Action. How about those two?
I can get behind those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been years since I've seen Treasure Planet,
Yeah.
but
I don't know if this is unpopular opinion, but I like Treasure Planet. I don't like the Atlantis movie.
you don't like Atlantis?
When I first saw it, I it didn't click. I might need to rewatch it. I don't know. I think Road to El Dorado holds up. If we're gonna go animated, like I think Road to El Dorado and the Sinbad movie, those were pretty good from DreamWorks.
What are your thoughts on Brother Bear?
I liked it as a kid. I don't think it holds up now.
I don't know if I've ever actually seen Brother Bear. I think I might have a long time ago, but I don't remember.
Anyway, I think I asked remakes too. Um, I don't know if you guys remember Bridge to Terabithia, but I think that could get another adaptation.
I
Never
remember that
seen it.
movie.
All the remakes for me are books. Like that's the thing. Like Percy Jackson, Narnia, Spiderwick Chronicles, Golden Compass. Like I think those are all good books, but I don't think the movies are particularly great and could use a remake. Percy Jackson is getting a remake, which is cool. So good for Percy, I guess. All right, I guess overrated. I said Atlantis. I also think Tim Burns' Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie kind of sucks.
I think that's just the general consensus behind that movie.
It is? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought people liked it. All right. Okay. Last question. Most awkward experience watching a movie with family.
Okay. You guys ever heard of a movie called Holiday?
No.
I watched that movie with my parents. That is like one of the last movies you want to watch with your parents. I mean, me and my dad enjoyed it, but my mom was like, "Why the fuck are we watching this?"
I'm going to assume it has sex.
I mean, like the first like 5 minutes of the movie, something happens. I'm not gonna say what it is, but
Okay. I'm never gonna watch this movie. You can spoil me.
uh, yeah, Holiday is a movie like a lot of people hate. I think it's funny.
Just tell me what happens, man.
First 5 minutes of the movie, like the first like line of the movie is like "fuck Christmas" or something,
Oh.
and the lead guy gets a blowjob.
Oh. All right. Cool. What about you, Lugio? What was your most awkward experience watching a movie with family?
It's no surprise, but The Room.
Ah, yes, all the naked ass scenes.
Pretty
Oh
much.
yeah, I watched The Disaster Artist with my parents. That was kind of awkward
Mm.
because my mom that movie made my mom mad.
Yeah, I
I
think you
figured, but I'm a
told us
cheerleader.
this.
I told you guys.
Yeah.
It made her mad.
Did you watch But I'm a Cheerleader with your parents?
I'm not gonna answer that question.
I saw
All
that by
right.
myself.
Okay, cool. I saw Sasha's Party with my mom.
I saw that with my dad.
Yeah, uncomfortable experience that last scene.
I looked away when I first saw it because I'm like, Dad, I'm not looking. I'm not
Yeah.
looking.
I also saw Uncut Gems with both my parents, which I wouldn't say like any of the subject matter was uncomfortable, but the whole movie was just this like constant anxiety thing, and it was just like it was just awkward us walking out of the theater.
You
All
guys
three
ever
of
like?
us.
You guys ever like embarrassed to be caught watching a movie?
No, not particularly.
No, can't say I have. Well,
I don't
yet.
know. Even the anime I watch, like I've never had anything weird. I don't know. Maybe if I watch Kill la Kill, that'd be something I'd be embarrassed to see my parents walk in on. All right. So speaking of things that are probably awkward to watch with your family, the next recommendation.
Oh boy.
So watch this movie blind, go in knowing nothing. People have told me that's the best way to watch this movie. I know nothing
Okay.
about this movie. I only
Okay.
want to see it because I am familiar with the director's work, and many people told me it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Yeah, I'm astronomically hyped because I want to see it for the longest time. It's apparently one of the highest rated movies of all time on Letterboxd with a whopping 4.4 out of 5 stars, which is incredibly high for Letterboxd. To put a frame of reference, the highest rated movie on Letterboxd is a 4.6. So 4.4, 4.6, yeah,
But
pretty.
what is this movie you speak of?
It's called The Handmaiden by Park Chan-wook. It is
I think I've heard the
subtitled
Handmaiden.
name.
Korean movie. Yes, it's on Amazon Prime. Anyway, because last time I went in blind was But I'm a Cheerleader, it turned out to be kind of shocking. I decided to do a little bit of cursory research, none to spoil me, but enough to warn you guys, I guess. Coincidentally, this movie is also about lesbians. I don't know how every movie I go in blind is about gay people, but whatever.
Well,
So yeah,
I appreciate your warning this time.
yeah. The only warning is that there's a sex scene, so I don't know. Probably don't watch with your parents,
Won't do
or
that.
Well, I
do.
guess we know what we're getting into now.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
also, there's gonna be homophobic characters because it takes place in like the past. So,
All
duh.
right.
But yeah, nothing too bad to worry about. So, The Handmaiden by Park Chan-wook. If that name sounds familiar, he has directed Old Boy. He's the director of Old Boy.
I can't say the name sounds familiar.
Really? Okay, damn. I thought that was like that's like the most famous Korean movie of all time, before Parasite. All right, cool. You never heard of him. All right.
Nope.
I recommend Old Boy and Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. Those are the two movies of his I've seen.
All right.
Part
So
of the Revenge trilogy. Yeah.
should be an interesting watch.
So yeah, see you guys next week. Good luck on your finals. I think this is your last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
last week.
So yeah, it's about as long as Pulp Fiction, this movie, by the way. So
Okay, so it's about a 2 hour, about two and a
Two
half
and a
hour
half.
movie. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we will see you next time for the Handmaiden, and watch out for the holes on the way out.